money here in Vegas. Shams.
And sources tell me that the Clippers-Raptors trade centered around Kawhi Leonard will not be complete until the Clippers are done with their investigation with the NBA into the aspiration situation regarding allegations of funneling money to Kawhi Leonard through endorsement deals. And so earlier this week, the Raptors and Clippers were set to have a Dick and draft assets, but the league, I'm told, ended up delaying that call and now has decided that the teams will not be moving forward unless the Raptors assume the risk of potential outcomes that come from that investigation. We still don't have a timeline for that investigation. Adam Silver said about a month ago that it could be coming to be wrapped up soon. It still has not been. And so over the last several weeks, the Clippers have engaged with multiple teams around Kawhi Leonard trade talks. None of those teams operated with any restriction that they would be dealing with any fallout after a deal being completed for Kawhi Leonard. But now that the Raptors and Clippers were set to finalize this deal, do the trade call with the NBA has essentially paused that conversation until the end of their investigation. The Raptors decide today that they will not be assuming the risk of any discipline or any other fallout that could happen with Kawhi Leonard after the league investigation is over. So the Raptors and the Clippers are on hold, as well as Kawhi Leonard, Brandon Ingram, and Grady Dick right now.
Wow, so a lot of people, both teams in limbo. And if you can, Shams, just remind people how long this investigation has already been going on.
Hannah, this investigation with the league has been going on for about 10 months. And the Clippers have been at the center of the league's investigation into whether this company, Aspiration, along with the Clippers, had funneled money to Kawhi Leonard on the side. Kawhi Leonard, his former business associate and uncle, Dennis Robertson, have been interviewed by the league in the last couple of months as the league has been trying to whittle down their investigation along with a third-party law firm, Wachtell. But now it has had impact on trade. That Kawhi Leonard is supposed to be going to Toronto, and the expectation around all sides is that this deal will end up happening at the end of the day, Hannah. But this just in, that deal is now on hold until the NBA's investigation is over.
Yeah, Shams, thank you so much also for reminding people of the complex nature of what the league is trying to unravel here and still has not reached a conclusion. And so, Bobby Marks, as we go back to our panel here, this is something that you had been saying could affect this trade possibly, and we hadn't seen this trade finalized. So what's your reaction to what you heard from Shams?
Well, it's funny, Danny and I are looking at each other and both saying, wow.
Yeah.
And I think once we got to noon on July 6th, and then we got to that night and there was no trade, then there was talk, well, maybe that deal was going to be expanded. Maybe Peyton Watson was included here. But now we are on July 9th. The trade has not been finalized, as Shams said. I give the league credit, at least as far as giving the Raptors a head up, because remember, we went through this with Terry Rozier. Miami and Charlotte make a trade for Terry Rozier. He had been investigated. There was no wrongdoing. The Heat trade for him, and then he is basically suspended for the year and they had given up a draft pick here. It's a story that's going to continually develop here. Hopefully, as Shams said, this is 10 months in.
Right.
Hopefully, we're going to get some closure pretty soon on this investigation.
It kind of tells you, it's taken this long, it tells you that there are still questions to be answered.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Obviously, I know the league has to do what it's supposed to do, like what it needs to do. I hope this ends quicker because this is really putting a damper on a homecoming for Kawhi. And you see him at Kyle Lowry's retirement. Shout out to Kyle Lowry. He deserves all the flowers in the world because he's one of the greatest teammates I've ever had. He's a great player, had a hell of a tenure. But Kawhi's happy. He's at home. City is buzzing. They all love him. Everybody's excited that he's back in Toronto. And now you have this news. So I'm not a fan of it. I know the league has to do what they're supposed to, but hopefully they can close this up sooner than later so that we can have Kawhi back in Toronto sooner than later.
Yeah, I would say that the silver lining is that at least there's some accountability for this to be over so people choose whether or not they assume the responsibility in the conversations with Kawhi, because you don't want this to continue to linger 10 months, 11, 12, we're at a year mark. And so I see this more so as accountability for all sides to put this to bed, because this was one of those stories that followed the Clippers and followed Kawhi, and I think this is finally the level to say, all right, let's make sure this is addressed before anything else happens.
Yeah, listen, it still has to be adjudicated. Obviously, we're going to see what penalties might come down from this, but it really is, I know you don't like seeing it, it does feel fair to Toronto.
Oh, considering the price that they had to give up. 2 unprotected first, a pick swap, Brandon Ingram here. The last thing that they could say was, well, you know what, we're okay with the responsibility, and then all of a sudden the investigation comes in, you have a player that potentially might not be able to play here.
Right, they shouldn't have to pay the price for anything that happened.
Yeah, again, it is fair. It's what needs to happen. I was hoping that it was settled by after All-Star. They hosted it in a 2 and Dome, so we was hoping the news happened then. hopefully it ends before the summer's over.
I'm sure everybody was hoping that that would be settled. Again, Adam Silver said soon, whatever that means, but better sooner rather than later. Now, in the meantime, we ready to move on to Summer League?
Please.
All right, we have 3 games tonight. This is so exciting. Obviously, the court is empty behind us. The Clippers are practicing here earlier, by the way. All eyes will be on top overall pick A.J. Debonsa. Stepping onto the court as a Washington Wizard for the first time. And keep in mind, Debonsa led the nation in scoring in his lone season at BYU. First player to do that and be drafted #1 in over 30 years. Wow. As we take a quick trip down memory lane for some other highly anticipated top draft picks that are going to be shining here in Summer League that already did. Remember Blake Griffin? He won Summer League MVP.
2009, yeah.
Oh, I feel bad because he was my favorite player in that class.
Ooh.
He averaged
I had a poster of him on my wall.
Close to 11 rebounds for the Clips. The next year, the #1 pick also took home Summer League. How about John Wall? He won it all.
Talk about the runway leading to the move, the Dougie move, iconic.
Yeah. Showing AJ what it takes to get it done.
There you go.
Of course, Wemby.
Love that. Yeah. Hey, Wemby, you remember he struggled shooting in his debut?
His first game was uncomfortable.
Yeah. Then he dominated his second game. He has 27 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks. And then, of course, Cooper Flagg
Playing the point
on
forward.
his way to a Rookie of the Year season. All right, so let's talk about #1 with pick #1.
Yeah, why not?
A.J. Debonsa. What do you want to see from him tonight?
Okay, A.J. Debonsa, he is going to be a go-to player for years to come, but when we think about his go-to move, it brings back my hometown,
Okay.
Tracy McGrady and the Hezzy pull. So let's break it down and show you some of these side-by-sides, because if you look at the resume, Tracy McGrady, when he came to the league, they said he's someone that's graceful, he moves well, he has elite athleticism and extraordinary feel for the ball. You can say the exact same thing about A.J. Debonsa. He led the nation in scoring, and what I love about him is that he has the personality. He's expressive on the floor. He has the game. He's got the play. But now it's about galvanizing the rest of the team and galvanizing the fans to feel like our page has turned. We can now go into winning mode. And lastly, I'll say this: you need someone with a high-level motor on the floor alongside Trae Young and potentially, obviously, Anthony Davis. He's that type of dude. You saw the video clips. Ooh, defense.
Oh, yeah, it was.
A.J. Debonsa, I don't even care about the points. I just want to feel the vibes that he brings, the excitement to the city.
And I'm right there with you. I know everybody's looking for him to score. I want to see his playmaking. There was a video, a film that we watched earlier, his breakdowns of seeing how double teams are going to come at him, how he's going to maneuver around those, how he's going to find and create on that set. Now, there's been rumblings of how great Darren Peterson's been. He hears them.
We've seen it.
He should be #1 pick. He hears it too. So there's always that edge, that chip on your shoulder. Sinead talks about being #1 pick and following the guys behind you and not letting them get the best of you. So you better believe he's going to come into Summer League game 1 from then on to try to make a statement, make a stand, and show that he's the #1 pick, because he has things you can't teach.
And here's the thing. We saw Victor Wembanyama struggle in his first game in Summer League. Oh, Cooper Flagg did not have a good
a lot of
first
guys
game in
struggle.
Summer League, all right? It means nothing. It means nothing. But if he's going to show the world that he deserved to be that #1 pick and not Darren Peterson, what does he need to do?
Well, I think his range. He shot 33% at BYU last year. I think Danny hit it right on the head, playmaking. A year ago, I was sitting here talking about Cooper Flagg, and I said, I want to see Cooper Flagg as a playmaker here. I think we're going to see that with AJ here. Look, when you look at their roster with Trey Johnson and Will Riley, 2 players they drafted last year, I think we could see AJ playing a little bit point guard in this game. And the one thing that the teams are a little bit concerned on is handle. A little north of 3 turnovers last year here. So playmaking, the ability to stretch the floor, where is he with his handle? Summer League is about getting better day to day, game to game here, and I think from a playmaking standpoint, that's the one thing I'm looking forward to.
When these 2 guys met in high school, by the way, they combined for over 100 points. So I'm just saying, it could be a lot of fun. You know, we're going to heave it up, right? We're in Summer League. We're going to just keep on shooting.
The biggest thing for me also is the shooting, right? Shout out to Jimmy Fredette. He was also, I think, class of 2011 with Kawhi, but he was a shooter at BYU. Maybe he learned a thing or two from him to get consistency from shooting in the perimeter, but that's one thing that AJ, I think, can expand on, and he will play with those guys.
Yeah, listen, you're going to see that game tonight on ESPN. We have 4 games for you today on the ESPN family of networks, and a lot to come on NBA today. All right, the LeBron waiting game continues. Shams here in Vegas already had some breaking news. Now he's going to tell us what's going on in this biggest story in free agency. And the biggest Summer League showdown is here. We talked about AJ. We talked about Darren Peterson. We're going to talk more about who may make the biggest statement. And fresh off taking that Mavericks job, Dusty May is going to join us. Why was Dallas the right fit, and what is first on his? That means an unrestricted free agent. He can sign with any team this summer at any time. This will be his 24th season in the NBA for the 41-year-old James. And standing by once more is our Shams Charania here in Vegas. So, Shams, what's the latest in this process?
And all of the information so far is funneled through agent Rich Paul with LeBron James. And so they've been in a process of gathering information. And one interesting wrinkle that has occurred in the last several days is some of the leading suitors for LeBron James, whether that's a Golden State, a Cleveland, Miami, Minnesota, Philadelphia, some of them have been able to send a voice note to LeBron James via Rich Paul. So whether it's an owner, a president, or a general manager, being able to record a voice note, I'm told, send it to Rich Paul, and that makes its way to LeBron James. This is just a part of LeBron James' process of studying as he makes the decision. He has not been in a rush. There's been no timetable that he's been operating under. I'm told there's been a lot of family time, friends time, golf, of course, over the last couple of weeks. The last 2 he's spent in the Akron, Ohio area, including with one of his close friends that he grew up with in Brandon Weems, who's now one of the leading executives of the Cleveland Cavaliers under President Kobe Altman. So the process continues, and it's unclear whether Cleveland...